You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back, Rudrance, for Black and White Sports 2. Well, we're going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray in the same video with an assist from DeShaun Watson. Yeah. So DeAndre Hopkins is sort of the big deal because, well, he's the biggest free agent available on the market at this point. Arizona decided to cut bait in what can only be described as one of the more obvious ways we've seen of an NFL team to just throw it out there that we are tanking the season. Now, Kyler Murray's not supposed to be back till maybe at least midway through the season. And many are wondering, are we heading down the road of Caleb Williams land? Of course, he's projected to be the number one quarterback coming out in the NFL draft next year. So, a lot of people are wondering about that. Could Jonathan Gannon be a one-and-done coach? Who knows? It could turn into more of a train wreck in Arizona than it is already. You've got DeShaun Watson out there now talking about DeAndre Hopkins and how much he'd like to have him. And at the same time, you got the Browns going, not so much. I still believe it's going to be the Chiefs or the Bills, and I'm seeing where the Chiefs may in part pick up Hopkins just to keep him away from the Bills. I find this hard to wrap my brain around that a team would go out there and literally pick up a player as a block to another franchise, but they are considered the top 3 or 4 teams in all of the AFC, along with the Ravens and the Bengals. So, I don't know. We're going to start this video out because an unnamed NFL exec, for lack of a better way of putting it, has destroyed DeAndre Hopkins. And if you do not watch Mike Lombardi's 2 different podcasts, he's got the GM Shuffle and he's got the Lombardi Line. One of the things that Lombardi was talking about on his pod was the fact that there is a story out there about DeAndre Hopkins that evidently among league circles people know about said story, but even he didn't want to come out and say what it was. He didn't know if it was 100% factual. He didn't know what to believe. But evidently it's not a great story involving DeAndre Hopkins. And that maybe put off some teams from grabbing DeAndre Hopkins. We don't know what that story is. I'd love to know it. And eventually you got to think that might come out. In the wake of DeAndre Hopkins' release from the Cardinals, NFL executives have been discussing the wide receiver's future prospects as a free agent. Now, Albert Breer has come out of SI, and he says there's a healthy divide among executives, and this first quote is from somebody you can tell is not in on DeAndre Hopkins and is not a fan. One veteran team executive expressed skepticism, suggesting the receiver has lost a step in terms of his top speed, stating, quote, not much. He can't run anymore. I guess far as interest his team might have, he's saying not much interest. This assessment raises concerns about Hopkins' ability to create separation from defenders and contribute as a deep threat. I've seen that from multiple places. The line of he's struggling with creating separation now. Okay, but he's got some other attributes that are still strong. Another executive held a more positive view, praising Hopkins for route running skills and physicality as a receiver. He's still a good player. He's a good route runner, big physical target that can play a ball in the air. He's still a threat. That executive acknowledged Hopkins has exceptional hands and ability to make contested catches, noting his reputation as one of the best in the NFL in that regard. Yeah, he's supposed to have maybe arguably the best hands in the league. Honorable mention, A.J. Brown. A third executive from the AFC provided a balanced assessment of Hopkins' strengths and weaknesses. Still great hands, is not going to separate, not much of a deep threat, but strong, very strong, makes contested catches as well as anyone. Additionally, concerns were raised by an AFC exec about Hopkins' commitment to practice. Yes, this is a thing coming out of Cardinal land, that he did not want to practice. He'll play in a game, but he doesn't want to practice. The potential for off-field drama when things aren't going well. Does he not love to practice? I can't imagine that'll get any better. When things don't go well, you're always going to be leery. All right, what kind of drama are we going to get from this guy? When things are great, he's great. When things go south, his true colors show a little bit. He did finish on a positive note. Yikes, you just killed him. But he always shows up on game day. He's going to have to go to a team that knows what they're getting. You can't expect perfect attendance type of a worker. So that tells you right there. It appears some teams may be weary of declining speed, his preferences regarding practice, and concerns about potential drama. Maybe that's something Lombardi was getting to. Is there drama behind the scenes? Now, let's get to what Watson said about his old buddy, as in DeShaun. Me and D-Hop, we just naturally talk. We've been talking since the Houston days. Whenever he was in Arizona, we were always talking. Watson said at the Browns Foundation golf outing, he's always been a brother of mine since I was coming out of high school. Our connection, our relationship has always been great. And I know there's a lot of things swirling around in the media about him coming to Cleveland. For me, my answer to that is, of course, we'd love to have him. He knows we have a lot of connections, but that's kind of out of my range of things I'm trying to coordinate. All I can do is make a call and see what happens and let Andrew Berry, the general manager, do the rest. He just makes throws a lot easier. His range, his catch radius is super. Probably the best in the league. Just things he does makes my job a lot easier. Watson also acknowledged that Hopkins, who's a free agent coveted by a number of teams, would love to play for the Browns. Yeah, I mean, we got the sense that DeAndre Hopkins would like to go to the Browns, or he's on the list because of Watson. DeAndre Hopkins would love to be in a place where the opportunity is for us to win, Watson said. He checks all the boxes. And I think for us to know and make sure we check all those boxes on the national stage, we've got to go out there and prove it. And I think D-Hop would love to be a part of that. By the way, this is where Stefanski, as in Kevin, come out and poo-pooed that. He stressed that they feel really great about the Browns receiving corps as it stands. So he kind of come out and he kind of just shut it down. I mean, Coach Stefanski seemed to shut this down. Now, I can tell you right now, he's coaching for his life right now, his coaching life, because Stefanski is heading into this season. He's going to be on the hot seat. Now, let's get to Kyler Murray. Now, DeAndre Hopkins made these comments the other day during this I Am Athlete podcast, and he praised Kyler Murray, but he also made a lot of comments about the kind of quarterback he'd like to play with, and a lot of people come away with, okay, this was sort of, let me say the nice things, the bless their heart kind of things, and then let me destroy them after the fact. We've seen that before. In other words, hey, I'm going to butter you up. I'm going to say these nice things, but in the next sentence, I'm going to shit all over you. And many people kind of took that as exactly what DeAndre Hopkins was doing, and is one reason he's in the unemployment line right now with the Cardinals, between that, his salary, and them wanting to tank. Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport chose the most overrated player at each position. Kyler Murray was atop the list of the passers in the league. He was the top quarterback as the most overrated. Quote, to be clear, Calling Murray overrated doesn't mean he's bad. He posted a pair of solid seasons, Davenport said. In 2020, Murray completed 67% of his passes, had a career-high 26 TDs, and rushed for 819 yards, 11 scores. The following season, he topped 3,700 yards again, posted a passer rating over 100, and led the Cardinals to the playoffs. That was that. Fire up the commercials, back up the Brinks truck. In the spring of 2022, the Cardinals handed Murray a 5-year, $230.5 million contract that included over $103 million in guarantees at signing. In terms of average annual salary, he's 5th in annual salary among quarterbacks. Quote, the problem is Murray is not a top 5 quarterback. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He might not be a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, there you go. He has yet to post a 4,000-yard passing season. He was 14th in passing yards and 12th in passing touchdowns in his last full season. He's 6 games under 500 as an NFL starter, and his lone playoff start, if anybody remembers, was an absolute catastrophe. Murray's second contract was the sunk cost fallacy run amok. And if last year's career worst numbers in most categories were an indication, things aren't going to get better from here. Yikes. So that is literally dragging Kyler Murray down the street from a QB perspective. But, I mean, let's be real. He's got a massive contract. And when you go down and start looking at quarterbacks, start naming quarterbacks, well, he's most certainly not in the top 12. Is he in the top 15? I think that gets real arguable. He's really small. He's going to be injury prone. A lot of people say, hey, he can't see back there. He's too short. And on top of that, work ethic issues, right? There was a reason. Let us not forget the Cardinals put in the study clause in that contract. And then you got DeAndre Hopkins coming out making comments about quarterbacks and about what he's hoping to play with. And it just so happens the things he's talking about is the things that the Cardinals seem to think, along with some teammates and ex-teammates, Patrick Peterson, some of the deficiencies that Kyler Murray's got in Cardinal land. This is going to be a really interesting season for the Arizona Cardinals because they could be tanking. It looks like they're tanking. This is how tanking looks in the NFL. It looks different than the NBA, but there's things you can see that's happening. We cut a great talent. We do so in such a way that our fans will know right up front we don't have the money to sign somebody to replace him, or even 2 people that could add up to replace him. So we're not even worried about the talent for the season. The quarterback gets hurt. The quarterback's out most of the year. Quarterback gets replaced. Anybody remember Peyton Manning getting hurt with Andrew Luck coming out? And Lord knows, Peyton Manning was light years better than Kyler Murray probably will ever hope to be. It's not even close. It's not even a discussion. I feel dirty even bringing up Peyton Manning and Kyler Murray in the same sentence. But you get my point. There's a couple of different quarterbacks coming out next year. Wow. Most overrated NFL quarterback. It's hard to dispute that. It is. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.